Welcome back to the Chef Triathlete Podcast, where we talk about building strength mentally, physically, and for the long game of life. Today's episode is for anyone who feels stuck, overwhelmed, or like they know there's more, but they're not sure what that next step is. Finding your path isn't about having everything figured out. It's about getting quiet, getting curious, and having the courage to move. You don't need the full map. You just need to take the step. So let's get into that. Today, I really want to talk about finding your path. We've had discussions in the past about different phases of life and following that path of discovery and not being afraid of where it might bring you. And how do you find your path? You might not really know what that path is or where that path is going to take you. But it's okay. You don't need to fear failure. You don't need to feel like you're completely stuck all the time. You need to find that curiosity. You need to find that uncomfortableness to try something different, to kind of break out of that comfort zone and think about those things that sit in the back of your head that we like to call what ifs, that what if mentality. Well, what if I tried this, or what if I tried that? I really think I might be good at this career path, or I might be really good at this hobby, but I just don't have the time to do it right now. Or you say, I'm going to really think about doing this next week or next month. Maybe I'll make this small change. These are the roadblocks that hold you back from following your path and finding your path. And let me try to make this a little more realistic for everyone, right? I'm not asking everyone here or assuming everyone is unhappy with their life and is looking to make a drastic change. What I'm saying is that we all have different phases of life, and within those phases, there might be something that is holding you back from not feeling completely full or completely happy in life, and you're not sure exactly what that is. You have this feeling, but you're afraid to follow that feeling, right? Maybe it could be as simple as your day-to-day lifestyle. Maybe you're not happy with how you feel. Maybe you're not happy with how you look, but you just are afraid to make that change. You have some type of fear to move forward or discover something else that might improve that lifestyle. Maybe you see people working out in the gym and the gym is intimidating to the thought of the gym could be intimidating to you. So you say, oh, I'm not one of those gym people. I don't see myself going to the gym. Or, you see people running outside and you're like, I'm not a runner. I don't see myself running. But you're also curious about it at the same time. And you have this curiosity, but you're afraid to take that next step. So what does that look like? What does it look like when you're having roadblocks preventing you from following this path, whatever it may be? It's really just your mind, right? It's all in our mind. And we talk about this with when we talk about goals and setting endurance goals, or even when I'm in some type of a long race. Your mind is always going to look for the easiest path, right? Or the most comfortable path. That's what your mind wants to do to keep your body calm and safe. That's what it thinks it's doing when it looks for the easiest path. It wants to keep the body calm and it wants to keep the body safe. So anything uncomfortable is going to send an alert to your brain or your body saying, that seems a little uncomfortable. Maybe I don't want to do that. This has been safe and comfortable for us, so let's just stay here. That's holding you back. That's the mental challenge. And what are the physical challenge? The physical challenges are combined with the mental challenge, right? It's taking that first step. So we always relate this to working out just because I think that's easily relatable for a lot of people to get a picture of what we're trying to talk about here. So let's say you want to, or you always were interested in running a road race, right? You see these people running 5Ks and it looks like a lot of fun. And you're like, wow, that looks like a lot of fun, but I'm not a runner. I don't think I could do that. But what you don't realize is that most of the people running those 5Ks were you one day. They had the same mentality. They had the same roadblock. So what did they do about it? They took that first step, right? They always say the hardest, the heaviest weight in the gym is that first step through the door. That's the hardest workout, that first step through the door. Once you take that first step, you've already done the hardest part. Now you just have to keep moving forward. So whether that's working out, whether that's changing some habits in life, could be as simple as you are stuck, and I could be, I could be guilty of this as well. You're stuck on your phone much longer than you are comfortable with, but you're so comfortable doing that, you do not know how to break away from that, right? You do not know how to break out of your comfort zone of not looking at your phone for hours a day and think of some other type of goal to assist you with that. So the first step with something like that is to set a time limit, right? And stick to it, which goes into the next step of this kind of following your path and finding your path. Also comes consistency with being uncomfortable and consistency in making change. Let's look at it from a career standpoint. You might love your job, you might love the company that you work for, but maybe you feel stuck in your current role. But you're so comfortable in your current role that day to day is very easy. You just can kind of go through the motions and do everything that is required of your job, but you're not feeling fulfilled anymore. But on the same hand, you're really nervous to step out of that comfort zone because you don't know what it's going to look like if you look for a new role or step into a new role. Is this going to, change my daily routine? Is this going to change how I approach work? Yes to all of that. But what's the reward? The reward is you just did something different. Now, you might not know if that something different is going to work out in the long run, but at least you tried it. This is what starts to change that mental roadblock and change that mentality that it's okay to try things uncomfortable. It's okay to follow a path that might not lead to the final destination, to finding your path. If you can understand that, you might try a different role at work that might lead to a dead end. But when you get to that dead end, maybe it opens up a different opportunity that you had no idea about, that skyrockets you to something unbelievable. But you would never gotten there if you didn't take that dead end first, if you didn't take that path that didn't work out, right? Same thing with back to running the 5K. You don't know if you can run a 5K unless you try. So why don't you go outside and walk? Walk for 30 minutes. Next week, walk for 40 minutes. Next week, I'm going to jog for 2 minutes and walk for 2 minutes for the duration of 30 minutes. So on and so forth. Before you know it, you're going to be jogging 1 mile. Then you're going to jog 2 miles. Then you're going to jog 3 miles. And then guess what? You'll be ready for your first 5K. These are the roadblocks and these are kind of the steps you need to get some confidence to be able to be uncomfortable and see these goals and feel the reward when you attain these goals. And consistency is key. We always go back to consistency. If you're going to be dedicated to something and you want to see that change all the way through, you're going to need to be consistent with it. So let's talk a bit about consistency and what that means in terms of making changes. We all live in a life of instantaneous gratification. And this is another roadblock that kind of holds us back from wanting to try something different and wanting to make a change, because in society, some of us have this expectation that if we're going to make a change, that change is going to happen right away, which is so far from the truth, right? That those changes are small. James Clear says it great. If you've never read any of his books, you want to try to change, improve yourself 1% a day. If you can change yourself and improve yourself, something in your life 1% a day, that compounded over time, when you look at yourself a year from now and you are consistent with that 1% a day, you will be a completely different person and have reached completely different goals than you were looking at a year ago, because you were consistent in that small goal of 1% change a day. So, how do you continue to find your path? You may have heard something like this before. You want to get quiet. What do I mean by wanting to get quiet? What I mean is that you want to set time for that self-reflection, whether it's journaling, whether it's walking, whatever it may be, and you really want to have these conversations with yourself to talk things through and not talk yourself out of the roadblocks. You want to talk yourself through the roadblocks. My buddy, not my buddy, I wish he was my buddy, but David Goggins, he mentions that every day he has a morning meeting with himself. He says, in our corporate lives, we all have meetings at work, but how often do we actually have a meeting with ourselves? This is that get quiet time. You're going to have a meeting with yourself and talk all the things through. Talk through your challenges, talk through your successes, talk through your roadblocks, and set those small goals to continue your path, right? Follow the curiosity. What is pulling at you? What are you curious about? What ifs do you have in the back of your mind? Whatever those curiosities are, find a way to follow them, right? Step outside of your comfort zone, and realize that fear is not a stop sign. Fear is just a roadblock, right, that you can get past. Set small goals, one habit at a time, one action at a time, 1 week at a time. If you're consistent with that, it is amazing what you can change in 6 months to a year, 2 years, 3 years from now. Another great thing that James Clear has said, if you haven't read any of his books, I definitely encourage you to. He mentions this a lot, and this has been reflecting with me a lot lately. He says that who you are right now is the results of the habits of your past year or two. So if you are struggling with something in life, say you're struggling financially, right? If you are struggling financially, now barring you didn't have any catastrophic challenges in life that caused this financial struggle. But if you're struggling financially in life just because you didn't manage things correctly, whatever the case may be, this is because of the actions from a year or two ago, right? This is why it's so important to start those habits and set those goals and really focus on that 1% change. Because if you focus on that, then another year or two from now, you may have overcome those financial struggles simply by staying consistent with paying attention to your finances and organizing your finances. Same thing with your health. If you're feeling not great about yourself, if you're feeling unhealthy, once again, not barring any medical issues, anything like that, I know different phases of life affect this as well. If you're in the thick of it, you have young children, your life is really busy, I know it's very hard to find that time to prioritize your health. But if you look at it the way we just spoke about, if you're feeling unhealthy, not happy with yourself now, what did you do in the past year or two to get to this point? And what can you do, thinking about that 1% per day change, to change your lifestyle to be a completely different person a year or two? I had a conversation a couple days ago with a potential new client. We were just chatting. We had a video conference, and this person had some challenges. She had some challenges in regards to, health, weight, mentally, and this person had been through a lot of hard times within their life in the past year or two, and is ready to make change, but can't see past those roadblocks on how to make a change. So we had some discussions, and we set some small attainable goals, baby steps, to hopefully start to make small changes. Working a busy lifestyle, not prioritizing eating and just eating on the fly was one of the challenges. So we talked about setting up a goal of actually writing down some quick, healthy snacks or foods that you can pack for work, so you at least have something intentional there while you're at work, instead of not prioritizing eating or packing food at all and just eating on the fly on a day-to-day basis, which is just catapulting the feeling that you're having and the challenges that you're having with your health and your wellness. So really just focusing on those small goals, those small baby steps, can really make big changes. Because I can guarantee you, once you get in the routine of, say, being able to write down these snacks, when you go to the grocery store, being intentional about your shopping, and then I had mentioned, just think 1 or 2 days ahead of time of what your schedule is, when you can eat, and maybe what you can eat, and try to pack at least a couple small meals or snacks to supplement that. That's a small change. If you can be successful with that for a month, you have just changed your lifestyle in a month. Drastically change your lifestyle, because I can guarantee you that you will get addicted to that. But not only that, routine becomes easier, so you can stack another habit on top of that routine, which brings us to our next topic. When the roadblock is building new habits, right? So this is a huge roadblock for a lot of people, is taking that first step into the gym, or taking that first step outside to go for that walk, right? To try to change that lifestyle, whatever it may be. Stack your habits. So what do I mean by stacking your habits? We all have many habits and routines that we do daily, right? Maybe you get up and you make a cup of coffee every morning. That's habit. I'm one of those people too. I love having that hot cup of coffee in the morning. What else can you do that can be a part of that change during that cup of coffee? Well, maybe I can set a timer on my phone for 5 minutes, and for 5 minutes every morning, I'm just going to reflect, because I've never done that in the past. I'm going to start that morning meeting with myself for 5 minutes a day for a week. Then I'm going to increase that to 10 minutes. Then I'm going to continue to increase that, and I'm going to start to enjoy that morning meeting with myself, that time of reflection. You just create a new habit off of stacking a current habit. So look at other habits you have that you can stack on top of. After dinner, you're all cleaned up, you have everyone settled down. The first thing you want to do is plop down on the couch, which I get, and either watch TV or jump on social media. So why not stack that habit with something impactful? Stack that habit with reading into something or researching something that makes you curious. You're curious about a new career. You're curious about learning about whatever it is. I think I want to learn how to build doors. I want to learn how to do woodworking. Or I was given this silhouette or curio machine a year ago. I haven't used it yet. I'm really curious what I could design or make with that machine. Stack that habit. Instead of plopping down on the couch and turning the TV on right away, do some research. Same thing as with the morning cup of coffee. Start with 5 minutes. 5 minutes a day, I am going to research on how to use that machine and what I could design with that machine. I guarantee you, if you're consistent with that, a month from now, you will be starting to make things on that machine, and you'll be having so much fun, and you just created a fulfilling habit that not only can fulfill some of your creativity, some of the emptiness you're feeling, but who knows, maybe it could open up a new income stream for you as well. Now you're making shirts, you're making hats, you're making cups, you're doing it for friends and family. All of a sudden, someone's sports team wants these shirts made for them. Guess what? You can do that now. This is how it catapults, and this is how you start to find that path. Maybe you didn't even know that was a path for you until you started to do that research and started that new habit. So what are some of the common roadblocks that we have to get past on a regular basis? Fear of failure. Don't fear failure. Sometimes failure comes for a reason, right? Sometimes you need to have a failure to learn from, to find a new path or find a new success. Sometimes that failure is going to be hard. Sometimes it's going to be scary. Sometimes you're not going to understand why that failure came. I'm going to give you a personal story of mine. Not a lot of people know about. So this is a career one. This is very impactful. I got to a point within my career. I was with the company for a long time, and I was starting to feel like that feeling we spoke about earlier, where my job felt so routine. Day to day, I was very good at it. It was just routine, and I was not sure what my next steps were. So I had met someone who had this opportunity, which sounded amazing and is an amazing opportunity. I am not disregarding this opportunity. This opportunity is amazing. It's an amazing opportunity for the right person at the right time. So I jumped into this opportunity, and it was not the opportunity for me. It did not fit my phase of life. It did not fit my path. I did that for a short period of time, but this was the aha moment. During that time, a new opportunity came up that was more in my lane. That is the opportunity of the career the position with my career that I'm in now. And this has been probably one of the most amazing paths that I've had within my career. And I would not have gotten to this place unless I broke out of my comfort zone, made a change, failed at that change, and found another opportunity. This is what I mean by you have to take, and this was a huge risk, right? I am the breadwinner at my home. I am the one who is like I said, the breadwinner. I have to support my entire family. We were very comfortable with where I was, and I convinced my family to support me in taking this risk, not knowing how it was going to work out. And in the long run, it has been the best decision I ever made in my life. And I would not have gotten there without the support of my family and without breaking out of my comfort zone. That's why you should not fear failure. Fear of judgment. This is a huge one. This is a huge one, especially when you start to change as a person. If you make a major change, or you're thinking about making a change, a lot of times people will say, well, if I do X, what will everyone think of me? Or what will my friends and family think of me? How will they look at me? How will they judge me? You cannot fear this. This is probably one of the biggest roadblocks people deal with. Your family will always be there to support you. They may not agree with the changes in the beginning, and there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be some failures, especially when you're in self-discovery, looking for your path. But you have to trust the process. And you have to trust that the people that are there for you will be with you all the way through. You will lose some people, but you will gain other people that are like-minded, that have similar paths and similar mindset that you do. So you have to be okay with that. You have got to be okay in not fearing judgment. Next one is waiting for confidence. Confidence comes with change, right? Confidence comes with change, and you cannot wait for the confidence to make that change. You can't live in I'm going to do something one day. You just have to do it day one and be confident that you're making that right decision. Because if you are not confident in that change or that decision, you will never follow through with it. You will not follow through with the change. You will not follow through with following the path if you do not have confidence in yourself that you are doing the right thing. And who's going to tell you you're doing the right thing? The only person that's going to tell you you're doing the right thing is you. You find that in those morning meetings. You find that in that self-reflection. You are going to tell yourself that this is the right thing to do, even if it's scary, even if it feels very different, even if it feels uncomfortable. Follow that good uncomfortableness with confidence, with the support of your family, with the support of the people that you know will be there through the change, through the discovery, through it all. And building off that, confidence is built through action, right? So you have to have the confidence to follow the path and make the change, right? You have to have the confidence of not fearing of judgment. But then once you start to see the change, once you start to feel the reward of following your path and finding your path, this is going to skyrocket your confidence. And this strength of confidence, this new confidence, is going to replicate in every aspect of your life. It's going to help you with your personal life at home. It's going to help you with your career. It's going to help you with yourself internally. You know, we all know in life when we see a confident person. And when we all see a confident person, there's something deep down inside of us that says, I want to be that person. It's human nature. That's why leaders, great leaders, exude such great confidence. Now, when I say exuding great confidence, I'm not meaning, this in a negative way. They just have this energy about them, right? That you can see that they're confident in what they're talking about. They're confident in what they're doing, and they just have this aura of confidence. This is the confidence. Once you reach that confidence, you know that you have found yourself and you are confident within yourself. And that's built through actions. So bringing this all together, right? Self-discovery and finding your path, it's not something that's easy. It's not something that is going to happen tomorrow. It's not something that's going to happen on its own. It's something that is going to be driven by you, following your intuition, following your gut, following that uncomfortableness and saying it's okay to make these changes, stacking new habits, being consistent with those habits, and then getting past all of the fears, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, and then building that confidence. So these are some takeaways that I want you to think about after this podcast when you're thinking about self-discovery and finding your path. What in your life feels misaligned? What in your life just doesn't feel right? In that you are curious about making a small change that could maybe realign that misalignment in your life, whether it's health, whether it's career, whether it's your personal life. What feels misaligned? Really think about that and then start to build off of that. What am I curious about but I'm avoiding? What are you curious about that you are avoiding? Is it that 5K? Is it making designs on that Cricut machine? Is it that new career or that job that was posted that you're super curious about but you don't think you're qualified for? What is that curiosity doing to you? It's just eating you away week after week, month after month. Stop avoiding it. And then what is one action that you'll take this week to break out of that curiosity and gain some courage to make a change? Will you stack a new habit on an old habit? Will you try something different? Will you take that first step into the gym or that first step outside? Will you maybe inquire about that open position and see what the requirements are and if it's something that you want to move forward with and try to make a change. All this is going to bring, more clarity to your life. Like I said, it's when you have confidence, you have clarity. And when you have confidence and clarity, you just continue to follow that path. So physical health is definitely one thing that will support that clarity. So you definitely want to prioritize physical health as well as mental health when you're getting ready to find this path or follow this path. Because if you don't have your physical health aligned, it's going to be really hard to move forward with everything just because you're not feeling great because you're not healthy. So make sure you're prioritizing that in order to get more clarity, less brain fog, and be able to really focus. Training builds discipline. So training can mean a lot of different things. Obviously, in sport, we know what training means, but training building discipline also goes back to stacking the habits, right? I want to eliminate the hours of social media in the afternoon. So the training for that is setting that 5-minute timer to research that's something new, growing that to 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, so on and so forth. So now you're taking your free time, you're training yourself to take your free time to improve yourself. That builds discipline because discipline is consistency. So when you're consistent with building habits, you become disciplined, right? And with all this being said, everything that we're talking about today, you really want to make sure you're taking care of yourself in terms of recovery, in terms of reset and recharging yourself, in terms of sleep, whatever that looks like. Recovery looks like a lot of different things, right? Stress is something that has a strong hold on a lot of our lives. So recovery could be simple as looking at ways to reduce stress in your life. And that goes back to what is misaligned. Some of those misalignments are causing stress on you, yourself, and your family. So figuring out those stressors, reducing those stressors will improve your recovery. So listen, I know this is a lot easier said than done, but self-discovery, following your path and finding your path can be done. You just have to start. You have to be the one to open up your mind and be willing to be uncomfortable. So if you can do that, if you can think about different things, making small changes, I promise you that you will start to find your path and you will start to feel different as a person. You will feel better as a person, and you never know what opportunity may come about. So keep taking that next step. Listen, also, one thing I did not mention is support, right? We forgot to mention about support. So before we close, let's talk about support. As you're going through this, right? As you're going through self-discovery, as you're going through following a path, it can be really scary. I myself have been doing a lot of different things. I can't even tell you how many different things in the past year or two in terms of self-discovery and following different paths and really trying to find my way. And what I can tell you is that you have to find a support group of people with like mindsets that you can reach out to talk about challenges, talk about fears, talk about next steps, talk about wins, talk about successes. Find someone that is on a path that's similar to yours or you believe is similar to yours that might be a little bit further ahead in that path. Talk to them. I can guarantee you they went through everything or may still be going through everything you're going through. And when you hear someone say that, it validates what you're doing and gives you some more strength to continue to move forward, because then you're not the only one out there. You're not crazy. It's not crazy what you're doing. There's other people doing the same thing. And once you get that circle of people around you, it catapults you to keep going forward. So I urge you, in closing today, I urge you to follow your path, break out of your comfort zone, and be curious. So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening to the Chef Triathlete Podcast. listen, stay focused on finding your path, and we'll talk to you next episode.